What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the ARC Podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Zachary, and this is the Athletes Resilience Center podcast where we talk all things mental performance in sports. On this episode, we have an interview with Mike Walley, the Director of Basketball Operations at Bucknell. Mike was a teammate of mine at the College of New Jersey. He was a pitcher with me, and he also played basketball at TCNJ as well. In this episode, he goes over his journey of playing both baseball and basketball at TCNJ, how he had to face some adversity early in his collegiate career with making both of those sports teams. He goes into how COVID cut his baseball career short at TCNJ and how he needed to make a quick transition from athlete into the coaching world. He talks about his journey of starting out at St. Joe's and moving to Bucknell and his role currently today. He talks about a lot of the mental practices that he uses today and what got him to where he is at this point and moment in time. So thank you guys all for tuning in. This is a great episode, and I hope you guys enjoy. Thanks. Michael, thank you for coming on. How are we doing today, brother?
What's up, guys? Appreciate you having me on. Been looking forward to this for a while. Now we're here, so again, thank you so much.
Yeah, dude, we're really excited to have you on. A former teammate of mine. We have some great memories together. One of my favorites was you throwing a complete game against Rowan to send us into the NJAC championship. So huge memory and shout out. That was sick. But getting right back into this, right? Let's start with your journey on how you got to where you are today. Just kind of how we intro everyone when they come on the pod.
Awesome, thanks. And thank you for bringing that up. I was going to bring it here anyways, so glad we got that out of the way.
Let's go.
But yeah, so, grew up, sports was just something that I always was involved with. I have an older sister who was a tremendous actress and performer. My mom took that. She was fantastic. My sister could run like a deer, but wasn't really athletic. So when I came around, my dad was like, we got to do something. So it was all the sports when I was younger, and finally narrowed it down to baseball and basketball. Dropped football after like sixth grade. Go to high school, good career in both. Got to play some varsity early on in high school, and then started to get into the recruiting process a little bit. I was mainly going all baseball, playing AAU showcases, you name it, down into Florida, baseball heaven. I was all over. As Brandon knows, I didn't quite light up the radar gun like many Division I scouts would have loved me to. And so that's sort of, I knew in my heart I was a Division III athlete, and I was perfectly okay with that. It was something that I was like, hey, I want to play in college, so if there's a place that will take me, I want to play there. And that's where I kind of realized that the possibility of playing both would be an option. And I had success in both sports, like county championships in baseball as a junior, in basketball as a senior. So like started to build like this winning pedigree that I felt could translate to anywhere. And the funny thing about TCNJ is I went to high school at Notre Dame. I live in Pennsylvania in Yardley. It's door to door 17 minutes, maybe.
Yeah. Yep.
TCNJ was like 12. I didn't even know where TCNJ was. I drove by it every day. And then I find out like my mom's an alum. And I'm like, great. So it became an option for me, and I got in touch with both coaches at the time around my junior into senior year. They came out to see some games my senior year, and it's funny because when you commit to a Division III school, I had a signing day, which was a white piece of paper with nothing on it. But the picture was great. My parents were in there. They were excited.
Yeah.
And I started this process of telling everyone I was going to play two sports in college, like baseball and basketball. And they're like, wow, really? Like, that's going to be tough, right? Like, how are you going to manage that? How are you going to spend your time? All this stuff. So roll in, go through the summer, and in August, you show up to campus, and for baseball, it's like you try out. Like,
Yeah.
it's
Right.
Division II baseball.
Yeah.
So yeah, there were guys that were the preferred, you know, potential guys who are going to make the team, but anyone can show up to tryouts. And I kind of got there and I was like, am I one of those guys that's like in already maybe on the team, or am I really going to have to like show what I
Yeah.
can do? And I was a little ambitious, showed up with, you know, to play first base and pitch. Faced,
I do remember that.
faced Brandon and a couple of the other upperclassmen a few times, put 0 balls in play. The coach tells me, "Hey, why don't you just leave your bat in your dorm and bring your glove back?" I kind of so I took the hint. I was like, "I'm gonna be a pitcher. That's fine. Like all good." It was a little ambitious. 2 sports, 2 positions. Like wouldn't have worked out. So as that's going on in the fall, though, like basketball season's creeping up as well, and I'm trying to do both now. So like that would mean anything from like wake up in the morning and lift, go to class all day, like play pickup at like 12, go right to the baseball field. And now I'm trying to like balance all this out and make sure I'm still prepared for the basketball season to start. But also, I just had this little moment with the baseball team, like, am I even really on the basketball team? Because like this was nothing that was set in stone. So it kind of put things into reality for me a little bit. Like you're gonna have to earn your way onto both of these teams. That's just what it is. So baseball goes well. I threw, you know, some good outings in the fall, and I guess I proved capable enough to advance into the spring. Right. So that was check that box. Okay, like now it's on to basketball, and this is probably like I really wouldn't be sitting here today if it wasn't for this story I'm about to tell. So I go into the first day of tryouts for basketball, and I can count how many people are in the gym, returning and new guys, and I'm not I'm the odd guy out. Like it's just clear as day. Like count up the numbers, like I know that kid's on the team, that kid.
Yeah.
I'm like, where am I in this group?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I think 2 days go by, and this name might ring a bell for you, and I'm going to bring him up. Steve Kelly, he
Yeah.
was
Yep.
was about to be a senior on the team.
Beast.
He's a beast. Like when I was going to games as a senior, Steve was like the man, like starting. And Steve walks into this huddle before practice, says like, "Everyone come here." Pulls out a piece of paper from his pocket, a little handwritten note, and says, "I will be quitting the team this year. I just don't have the same love for basketball that I do." And he walks out of the gym. So now I'm like, okay, that's one man out. There could be one more guy that enters the roster. I go home and I'm sitting in the kitchen. I remember it very vividly. Mom, dad, me. And I'm having a serious conversation about I might not do this because I just told all these people that I was going to play 2 sports in college.
Right.
How embarrassing would that be if this didn't come to fruition? And I just told all these people, and then I would have to tell the story every time I saw someone. Yeah, it just didn't work out. You know, I just didn't make this team or this team for whatever reason. And it was tough. Like I literally sat there and, you know, I had my mom tell me one thing, my dad telling me another thing, and I'll give this one to my dad in this situation because he was like, "You're gonna go back and you're gonna try out the last day. Like,
Yeah.
it's what you're gonna do. Like, you
Yeah.
started this, you're gonna finish it." And that's something my mom has always said is like when you put your name to something, you're not gonna quit. You're not gonna
Right.
just stop. So I go back, and that last day, like I could shoot it a little bit, so I got hot, started making some threes, and now there's like 4 of us like waiting to go to coach's office, and I'm like, this is literally like I feel like a freshman in high school all over again, like
Yeah.
trying to make the team. And I go upstairs and we have a good conversation. And he's like, here's your backpack and your sweatshirt, and you're on the team. And now I'm like, I had to keep it together for a moment, but then I think I went back into my dorm room with Tom TP,
Yeah.
and I literally remember I walked in with the backpack and I threw it so hard, like against the wall, and just let out like this. It was a scream, a yell, or something, like just the weight was, lifted off my back. Like
Yeah.
I could
Awesome.
finally say that I was going to go and play 2 sports in college, and it was
Right.
go home. I don't think I took the gear off for like, the next 2 weeks. Love walking around campus with all this stuff. And it was fantastic. Like just, I felt like I had accomplished something. But now it's like, okay, you've made it onto the roster. Like Now it's about playing and succeeding and trying to win. And the basketball season freshman year, it's like I was a young guy, needed to put on weight, all the normal things they tell a freshman, and I was okay with that because we had a really solid team.
Right. Yep.
And there were a lot of upperclassmen that were just like awesome to learn from. So that season kind of goes by, couple garbage minutes here and there, get a couple buckets, but baseball season rolls around and I'm behind the 8 ball for sure. As you know, you guys started up in probably December, early January. Yeah. And for pitching, it's like I didn't touch a baseball in a long time.
Yeah.
And which is a blessing and a curse because my arm was as fresh as could be. Like
yes.
I'm running all around, burning all this like lactic acid out of my arm, basketball, and now I'm like, so I've always felt good when baseball season came around, but definitely was nowhere near at the level I should be to actually like pitch in a game. So it took some time. If you remember, we go down to Florida, and I got like 1 inning on the back end of a doubleheader against West New England.
I remember that.
And I strike 2 kids out, and I'm like, this is easy. Like what? Like, this is awesome. Like, this is like, I come in, this is going to be, and I like remember single. Now the bases are loaded. I'm like, nice, dude. So now, like, you just had this opportunity to like really show that you're ready, a little quick inning. And I remember I threw a pitch that I could have swore was going to be a grand slam, and Tom goes and chases it down in center field. I get out of the inning, and I'm like, all right, cool. Like, there's that. A good little first taste of like just being on the mound, which is just awesome as a freshman. So we go back home, and then if I wasn't really in the mix, which I was like, I get it because I hadn't been around. It's just what it was. And we go play Widener at Widener, which was the worst college baseball game of all time.
It was horrific. That was terrible. I was charting. Worst day ever.
It was supposed to be this like confidence building, everyone throw an inning, go out, work on stuff, and it ended up being the exact opposite. I think like Tommy pitched in the game.
Yes,
and, like,
Tommy McCarthy.
Everywhere. Yeah, Tommy McCarthy. And I'm like the last guy in the pen. I'm like out there with Curry, like asking him, like, am I going to get in? Because at this point, I don't want to be anywhere near this game right now. So I get in and like I definitely like walked a couple guys, but still like I think out of everyone that threw, like I was the most effective.
I don't know why I have this vivid memory, but I do remember the upperclassmen talking, and our one takeaway as pitchers was, wow, Mike Walley threw really well today after we lost by like 20.
Bad.
It was bad.
Yeah. And I remember you sent me, I got roasted in the outfield. Mind you, walks, hit batters. We gave up 20 runs. All Rich Golack said in the outfield was that I walked the first guy on 4 pitches when I got in the game. And I was like, that's the one thing you could pick out about this game. Like, this was a disaster. So, and I love Rich. Coach Golack is the man.
He's the best.
I do remember after the game, we're on the bus ride back, and you sent me a text that said, like, hey, brush that off, take it with a grain of salt. Like, your opportunity will come soon. So we kind of go through, we're approaching conference play, and still nothing. Like, I'm just not in the rotation. I get listed for like mid relief.
Yeah.
Like everyone gets listed.
Yeah.
Like
right.
Position players are on there. So so then fast forward, we're playing Farmingdale State, and this was another opportunity. It was like everyone's gonna throw. This is how it's gonna go. And we go out to right field. Pre-game, coach is talking, going through, you're in middle, long, short, and he lists off, I think, everyone's name except for mine. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Like, how in the world am I not going to pitch today? Like, I haven't pitched in like 3 weeks. So this is the second real like monumental moment in my career. I go out, I see my dad approaching from like the parking garage and right, hop over the fence. I stop him in his tracks. I'm like, get in your car, go home. You're not missing anything here. I'm not even pitching today. Like, go play golf, save your time. Like, it's just not going to work. Like, I'm going to focus on basketball. I'll be the best basketball player I can be. And I had this second moment where I let so much like doubt just creep into my ability, of course, which is terrible because like that's not the kind of person I am.
Right.
But for the second time, my dad has to walk me off the ledge and be like, go back in the dugout, be a good teammate, and something good's gonna happen. And I'm
Big
like,
time.
yeah, sure. Like, I'll go back there. And I think like I remember just sitting down at the end of the dugout, didn't really want to talk to anybody. Was like definitely in my feels, and like it's just not who I am. Like I was supposed to be the big, tall, funny, goofy guy that just like made everyone laugh. And the game is like unbelievable. Hits, home runs, like all the pitchers are just shoving it. And
Yeah.
I'm like, great. Like this is an awesome coming out party for everyone but myself. So we get to like the seventh or eighth inning. I didn't think I'd have to bring this name up, but Brett Miller comes down to me and goes, like, what are you doing on Friday? And I'm like, dude, like, what are you talking about right
Yeah.
now? Like, this is like, I'm clearly in like not a good mood and like this,
Yeah.
don't want to be talking about this. He's like, all right, well, just, be ready or something. I'm like, don't even know what that means. We go
Yeah.
out after the game, everyone's celebrating, high fives and whatever. And I'm glad we won. Like, I was never going to like be upset that everyone was doing
Of
well.
course. Yeah.
But we're standing there and coach is talking and he's like, Bezak, you got Thursday at Stockton, and Wally, you have Friday at home. And I'm like, me? Okay. I guess I'm starting now. I'm going to pitch in the first conference, doubleheader here. So now I'm like, it turns into like, woe is me to like, time to like lock in.
Yeah. Right.
You just talked yourself into having these sour thoughts and bad feelings, but like you're now going to have an opportunity to go right the ship and prove a lot of people wrong.
Yeah.
So my preparation was like awesome that week. I just felt good. It was awesome getting to see you throw at their place the day before. Like I had my little printout that we always
Yeah.
had, taking my notes, and
Yep.
you shoved it and we won, and now I'm like, okay, I gotta back it up. Like, and that day was like that started a routine for me that I carried throughout four
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
I did so many certain things that day that I'm like superstitious that it just became my routine.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
everything down to like went to Ike and got a turkey sandwich on white bread with a side of like honey mustard. I don't even like
Yeah.
honey mustard, but like that's what it was. And I walked over with my bag at a certain time. I played a song on my phone in the locker room by myself before I went to the field. And there was just all these things leading up. Like I was about to enter like the Coliseum. For me, that's
Yes.
how I felt.
Yeah.
And I love the thought of like I don't know the whole thing, but I love being like in the arena. Like I
Oh,
love
big time.
all
Yeah.
that stuff, right? The whole man in the arena thing. So now I'm out there and like that started this precedent of like I didn't talk to anybody when I pitched. Anybody. Parents, like Bezak, he would come up, hey Mike, how you doing? Like nothing. I don't want to talk to you. I'm so locked in right now that I can only think about one thing and it's just going out and like doing my job. So
Yeah.
had a fantastic warm up and like I think like I definitely got the best run support in the history of TCNJ baseball. But like I shoved it for 7 innings and I threw seven scoreless and we win. And I'm like, all right, like, you're in it now. And
Yeah. Yeah.
I, backed you up on Fridays and it was like awesome to get to see you go out and do your thing on Thursdays and learn so much about what I was about to see the following day. And always just trying to like always match or exceed what you were able to
Of
do
course. Yeah.
on a given day. And that was my role. It led itself all the way into the playoffs. My number just gets called in
Yeah.
a final game late at night, and it's hard to like. You're sitting around because we earlier in the day we win, and like, okay,
Right.
now you're gonna pitch, and it's like, how can I get myself prepared with what I would usually do for a game like late at night?
Yes. Yep.
So now I'm like, I don't even feel hungry. I know I have to eat something. I'm like, what time would it be that I usually do this, and that was just like, it was just a night that you just kind of always like remember. I go out and like balls are like kind of flying all over, but they're right at guys. People are making plays, timely hitting, like, and we just kind of take this lead, and I'm just running back out there and running back out there. And my mom tells me like she like turns to like my grandma because my mom and dad like never sat next to each other during games. And my mom's like, is he gonna like keep pitching all these innings? Like, wow. And that was like by the time I got to the seventh or eighth, I've definitely told coach like I'm going back out there. Like
Yeah.
I'm not coming out now. I think we were up 5-0 at the time, so I was like, I have some wiggle room to let a few balls fly, whatever. And yeah, I went out and then like we go on and beat Ramapo the next day, and like that was just the start of something that winning a championship as a freshman was so
Right.
amazing to like you walk into this winning culture and like you actually go and achieve the goal that we all had
Right.
set out. So now it's like it leaves you wanting more, and every year we just kept getting better and better, and like I think we all know we maybe underachieved at times, but like
Right.
the
Right.
stuff that was already set in place from guys like yourself and the other pitchers in the bullpen, like that's just something that you just don't get everywhere. And so then we go on and we make 3 regional appearances in 3 years. I go on my junior year, throw another complete game shutout in the semifinals, and we go on and win that one. And like
Yeah.
it was just like I kept getting thrown back into these situations where like it's just you against a lot of people that don't think you should be out here. And that was kind of my thing, was just like when I'm on the mound, it's like I'm in my own world. I'm in that arena, and it's like the people in the box are probably a little more talented than I am. Like I think we all know that. Like I wasn't gonna light up a gun, and I was gonna like I gave up a ton of home runs in college. Like it's just what it was. Like balls were flying some days, and that's just the nature of the game. But like I felt like if I was able to just go out there and not let anyone know how I was feeling on any given pitch, that was my superpower.
Yeah.
To just in my own mind, like I knew what I was capable of, and then if something bad happens, do not let anyone know that you're pissed off. Internally, like I want to like scream into my glove like you used to do, and like just like, let it rip. But like if I showed any sign of weakness, like that just the other team knew like it's time to pounce. And that's what we were really good at when we would face teams. And that's why we had so much success, because like you blink for a second, like we're all over it.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's like that whole season, that whole year was just like fantastic. We go to the regionals. We should have hosted. It still pisses me off, but we fall short. But like the senior year, there was so much momentum, and now on both sides, basketball and baseball, we have 2 teams that I think are capable of winning a championship. And my internal goal before all this was like I want to win a championship in both, no matter how it happens.
Yeah.
And going into that basketball season, I was like, we have a really good team, a lot of seniors, a lot of experience that we could apply to the season. And we go on and we win the NJAC championship. We have a fantastic year, first championship in like 20 years, and first team All-American, all-conference players.
Yeah.
And we go to Randolph-Macon. We win a first-round game against Marietta. We lose to Macon in the second round, who's like the 1 seed in the tournament. Fantastic team. But like left it all out there, right? Like I'm riding this high of like we got this basketball NJAC championship. We win a game in the tournament, and I'm like, okay, there's still a silver lining to all this. Like my basketball career is over. It's like it sucks. Like I felt so bad for my teammates, but like the lucky thing about me is like that was always like turn the page. It's baseball season. Cool.
Yeah.
Let's do this thing all over again. So we lose on a Saturday down in Ashland, and we bus back and get to campus like Sunday sometime and go to practice on Monday for baseball. It's like what I do. Just throw the glove on. It feels weird, like throw the baseball around. Tuesday, we practice again, and then Tuesday night, we hop on the bus late at night to go to Florida, spring trip. It's like the best thing about being a Division III player is 20-hour bus ride to Florida with your boys. Who wouldn't want to do that? But it's like I loved it, and I was like, this is the last one, so like let's really like enjoy it, because like it goes by so quick. We all know that. That part of like baseball season was like the coolest thing. We're on the bus. We're all like, we have our polos on and our pants, and then like the bus gets on the highway, we can like take it off. Like weird rule, but whatever. And so we're on the way. We stop in Lumberton, North Carolina. We go to Denny's. It's like all good. And then that day, we start to get these like notifications on the phone, like Big East tournament is canceled. ACC tournament is canceled. So now you're starting to think like, where does D3 baseball rank in the pecking order of cancellations due to COVID? So we're getting down there. We're like almost to our destination, and we stop in a McDonald's parking lot in the northern part of Florida. And coach says, let's get off the bus. I'll talk to you guys for a second. And in a small circle, in a parking lot, in a random part of Florida, my athletic career was over. Like that. And within 72 hours, I went from like riding this ultimate high with like my basketball teammates to like the lowest point I've ever been at as like an athlete. And I know that everyone has their story about how COVID affected their seasons and how it affected their careers. But for me, it was like, this is all you've ever done for the last 18 years of your life, specifically the last 4 in college. Like, now what? Like, this was my personality. This was my identity. This is how I, woke up every morning with some purpose, was like, I get to do this every day. So I basically am on this bus ride back. We literally get on the bus and just turn around and go home because there's nothing else to do. And on that bus ride, it's like, I remember like I spoke the most, I think, to the team at the time because I had just finished my half of my career was already over.
Yeah.
So I felt like I could offer the most insight to the team. Like, we don't know what's going to happen. Let's just go back to campus. We'll figure this out. But there was a moment on the bus where I'm like, I was just laying like in my seat and I just like broke down in tears. Like it really hit me like it's probably over. Like there's this indefinite postponement, but like it's over, dude. Like you had a good run. And yeah, I just typed out this like message in my notes and, just something I still have in here and like posted it to Instagram with some pictures and like, I sobbed a lot. Like I just was emotional.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
And I'm sure a lot of people were in that same boat as me. So I kind of had to take a step back and be like, there's a lot of stuff going on in the world that's bigger than my Division III athletic career. But still, it was hard. It hurt a ton. But now it's like, okay, so we're in Ewing, New Jersey from March to May.
Yeah.
Now what? All this, the world's just changing day by day, and we're like, classes are online, and now we're just hanging out at our houses with the boys and like just doing stuff that we probably shouldn't have been doing. But it like that time of my life was probably the most impactful as to like where I'm at now, because I spent that time kind of starting to realize like what are my next steps going to be.
Yeah.
Playing was out the door, so I like wasn't going to try that, but I wanted to be involved in sports. So like have this like economics and finance degree, like let's go into business and sports or something. But I was like, I guess I'm in school mode. I'll go back to school, get my MBA. My grandfather was like, every time I saw him, you going to get your MBA? Like you going to grad school? So like credit to him for really just like pushing me to do that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. But yeah, so I spent like the 3 months calling, emailing, texting, DMing every Division I program in America for basketball to be a GA, not baseball. I'm like basketball. You just get told no every time. It's like nope. And I'm like, cool, I'm used to this. Like I got told no by a bunch of Division I schools as a player. Nothing's changed. Clearly, I'm just gonna have to wait my turn in line.
Yeah.
But I wanted to get to the highest level as quickly as possible. Like I didn't want to settle for just finding a little spot around home, going back to my high school or going to work at TCNJ. Like I wanted to get to Division I level because I thought that's where it would be the easiest way to start this career if it was something I was really going to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
There were so many people that I came across that have got me to where I am today. And every person along the line, like, had a little piece of the puzzle as to how I became a GA at St. Joseph's. And it started like, I went back to my high school, varsity assistant coach for basketball. Great. Learned a little bit. Go to Princeton for half a season. I was fortunate to get on there with a former TCNJ alum who was on the staff. I learned a ton there. And then their assistant coach calls my boss now, John Griffin, who was an associate head coach at St. Joe's. And after all the times I called people, I texted people, had these conversations, and got told no, this guy makes one phone call. I get a text the next day, and they're like, we'll see you on March 16th. It's like, what? I'm like, I just got told no for weeks and months. Now, like, you make one call, and I have
one call
spot, and that's that. So I was already enrolled to St. Joe's, so I was like, cool, like, let's do it. I'll just kind of see what it's like. And for me, it was like the coolest thing to do because I was like, I'm a player again. It was like I'm back in the mix. And that's really what I was. Like, the GA role is so rewarding because I went in as a freshman, basically. That's how I just restarted my career in what is coaching now, but I treated it like a player. It was the easiest way for me to learn. It was the easiest way for me to figure out what was going on, was just hop in drills, sweat, pass the ball if I'm not open, shoot it when I am, and just be a sponge to everyone in the gym. And it was great. Like, I went through the first season. I was like, it's a 2-year program. Like, I'm all in now. Like, this is a very long-term investment. So I might as well just go all in and give it a shot. And everyone always tells you, like, I'm sure you guys have had these conversations with people, like, when you're on a staff, like, as a GA, like, you hope that when your time's up as a GA, like, someone gets a job elsewhere and then you
Yes.
slide into that position.
Right.
And it's like, this whole timing thing is like, yeah, but is it really going to work that way? And my boss now, John Griffin, gets the job at Bucknell, his alma mater, and he's like, Walls, you're coming with me. And at the time, I'm like, is this like, are we doing this? Or I was not all in at first. And it took a couple conversations, again, back to my parents. We sat down, we draw out our pros and cons chart. And I'm going to give this one to my mom, because she was like, whatever you do, we will support you. You know that 100%. And it seems like you're enjoying what you're doing, so go for it. And
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, let's do it. So I'm like, yeah, I'll move to Lewisburg, PA. Not sure what's out there, but Bucknell's a Division I program. It has a championship pedigree, winning pedigree, and I'm like, cool, let's start my career here. Full-time job, like director of ops, and that's what I do right now.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like how I got to where I am today. I know that was like all over the place, but like, I tie together the two bookends of not knowing if I'm going to play two sports to having a pretty friggin' successful career in both sports, and then right back to square one. What are you doing with your life? No idea. And then kind of just rolling the dice again, and it works out in my favor. And I've definitely bet on myself a little bit, and it's worked out. And now I'm on an amazing staff with great people. My network is growing every year. I feel more and more confident every year about what I'm talking about, what my knowledge of the game is. And it's like I'm kind of in it now. I'm still fortunately on the younger side to sort of have the flexibility to do some things that maybe some older coaches in the business can't do. But I'm loving where I'm at, and I appreciate you guys letting me tell that story, because it's something I've always hoped to give to an audience, and this is the first group of people that'll be able to hear it. So I hope it resonates with some people.
Dude, I love that.
That's awesome.
I mean, thank you for sharing that whole journey, because seriously, it paints the picture as to like how you got to where you are and all of the adversities that you had to face along the way. Now, my follow-up question, and playing with you too, because I feel like you described with the basketball season going into the baseball season, and then not really getting an opportunity at first, and then basketball, it's like, am I on the team? Am I not? I'm kind of the odd man out right now. Like you said, you felt a little bit doubted, and you kind of used that as some fuel to the fire, right? Like, where do you think that came from? And was that something that you developed before you got to college, or was that something that that was the first time you were faced with that adversity, and you're like, all right, well, it's shit or get off the pot, so let's see how I react to this?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it started before college because of I was just fortunate to like always be on teams that were successful.
Yeah. Yep.
I won a ton of championships. Going back to like starting when I was 7.
Yeah.
My coach pitch team was like unbelievable. And then it rolls into like Little League. And my Little League team was 1 game away from the Little League World Series.
Yes, I remember you.
Ran the district sections in the States for 10, 11, 12. Like this absolute powerhouse. And when you start to win like that and you build like some sort of confidence that I wasn't always the best player on the team. I knew I contributed to every team that I was on. But when you start to like win a lot and you kind of like enjoy it, like you just hate to like lose or really, it's not even like being doubted. It's more about just having like a little chip on your shoulder that like, whatever you're presented with, you're going to hopefully come out on the right side of it. So yeah, in that time, I probably was more like a little bit of my ego too, like what I've been hurt to not, make both teams, and and have to deal with that for 4 years
Of
of college.
course.
But yeah, I think it really started just like with just having success in everything I like put my mind to, um, and just being around great teammates, great coaches, and just really learning how to win. And I
Yeah.
was like, it really just became like it would be unfortunate if I didn't get the opportunity. Like I was so ready mentally to invest my
Yes.
mind, body, and spirit into whatever I was going to do that like if it fell short, like I think it would have been more like internal just disappointment with myself, like that
Of course.
I wasn't able to get it done. But yeah, it was like it was tough because that's like that's just not who I am, and I could feel like that was something that was like definitely creeping into the my thought process, and it was unfortunate that it went that way, but it was I'm glad it did because then I wouldn't have been as excited to actually like make the teams when I did. So yeah.
Of course. Yeah, I feel like everyone we've had on, like, anytime that they've had adversity and then have been able to kind of bounce back and they have that moment of triumph where it's the most enjoyable, right? Like, even in those moments, I can see just by your reaction and your emotion, like, sometimes that might mean more to you than even winning the NJAC championship might mean, or like even the game you threw against Rowan, right? Like, you facing adversity and then overcoming it and being like, now I'm a two sport athlete. I did what I was set out to do. Like, that's really cool to hear because, you know, a lot of times we try to tie it to, like, if you don't reach the pinnacle of success, which is like win a national championship, then your season's a failure. But it's like you had all of these personal battles that you were able to overcome and like get to the point where you did feel a level of success early on in college.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the biggest thing too is like we were able to have on both teams freshmen play or even sophomores early on.
Yeah,
And that's how you build a program that's become successful. And this word culture that gets thrown around a lot, but it really is how you create a winning culture. And you need to have a great group of upperclassmen, which I was fortunate to have on both sides. And then you have to have some freshmen and underclassmen that can play and contribute so that they feel the level of confidence that it takes to win, and then they just kind of take the next step. And then when you become upperclassmen, it just rolls right back down to the younger guys. And I think that that's something on both sides that was like I didn't even have to think twice about it. It was already established. Like you either rise to the standard that you guys have set, or everything else we do would have been a failure. So yeah.
now you kind of alluded to this, and playing with you, I can speak to this. Like, you are definitely the ultimate competitor, and like you mentioned, like, you may not have thrown the hardest, but every time that you were going to take the bump, like, you were going to give us a chance to win every single time. Like, every time you took the bump, I was confident that we were going to come out with the W. And I say this all the time, like, the four of us, me, you, Joe, and Michael, like, I take us four over literally anyone ever at any point. Like, any series, I take the four of us over anyone. Like, the 2 years that we had, just our staff, I felt like we won accomplished so much, but the competitiveness that you brought, that Joe brought, that Michael brought, that I hope I brought, was like very complimentary of each other, even though we were all so different and we all went about pitching in a different way, I'd say. Like, I guess my question that I'm kind of leaning into here is, now, as an athlete, kind of seeing that your basketball side, you've seen very similar things. People compete in different ways. Now, working in basketball ops, right? Like, how do you see people who have different competitive advantages, mindsets, kind of grouping together and becoming successful? Because, I feel like if you look at different things like The Last Dance, it's like, oh, all you can think about is Michael Jordan's mindset, Michael Jordan's game plan. But like, we had, at least for us, four different pitchers that had four different, complete different game plans, right? Like, you just said, you were like, I'm going to pitch the contact a little bit more. Like, when I was pitching in college, my mindset was like, I am not going to let anyone touch this baseball. Like, that was the goal. It's just different mindsets for different guys. So, as a basketball ops guy, as someone who was a former athlete, as someone who's in the coaching sphere, how do you kind of navigate the different competitive energies that you see between people?
Yeah, I think internally you have to be ultra competitive. That's just like first off.
Of course.
If you don't have that internal like fire and will to win, then like you're probably not going to learn it, honestly. So knowing that I had that inside me, and I didn't always show it, like I really didn't, and that's something I'm still working on now in my professional career. Is like being louder, talking to people that so they can hear me. Like that's just like kind of how I am. But um, I'm ultra competitive. Like whatever I do, and you mentioned it. Like
Of course.
Scrabble with my grandparents, mini golf, card games with my girlfriend. Like I want to win. So, and I don't always show it, but like internally, like I want to beat you in whatever we're doing.
Right.
And that's like crazy to say for someone who's like borderline like unathletic and like did not throw very hard, like could barely touch the rim by the time I was like a junior and senior. But you go back to what you said about like the people that compliment that is like I was just learning from those around me. So like I was picking up stuff from you, Joe, and Michael that I could apply to my own um, pitching style. But at the same time, knowing that like whatever I was doing, maybe someone else was also watching or trying to pick up on as well. And I think now in my job currently is like I try and just help the guys like, and they don't always come to me, but I'll try and drop little nuggets here and there when I can. Is like be a person that when you're playing, competing, practicing in the weight room, walking around campus, that like if someone was watching you from afar, are you being professional? Like, are you going about things in a way that someone would see and be like, I want to be like that guy? And I think we have high character guys at Bucknell. We really do. And they're all so different because we are like a region, not really a regional school. We recruit all across the country. We have European players. Like everyone is different, and that's what makes recruiting so cool and like building a roster. But the competitive piece is like that's something that we can actually look at before we recruit somebody.
Right.
What kind of winning pedigree do you have in high school? Were you the best player on a really bad team, or were you like a role player on a team that won state championships? And that's something that like I'm just speaking for myself here. Like I value winning at a high rate. So like
Yeah.
you have some sort of winning background, like I know deep down there's a part of you that is like me. And that's how our staff is. Like our head coach, winning pedigree. Like when he was a player here, they knock off Kansas his freshman year.
That's
They come
awesome.
back and they knock off Arkansas as a sophomore. So like for him, I know that box is checked. He's a champion. He wants to win championships. Like he's a guy I love working for because we're on the same wavelength there. He shows himself in a way different manner than I do. He's loud, he's energetic, he's a little in your face at times, but like
Yeah.
you need that because
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
lights up the gym when it needs to be lit up, and I'm kind of in the corner just like even keel, steady Eddie. Like
Yeah.
sometimes that hurts me because like I need to be more vocal or maybe like say what I'm thinking, but I'm always just reading the body language of our players. How are they lifting in the weight room? Who's half-assing and who's going hard? And then the little things now is like competing and just like who wants to win like a shooting drill? Who wants
Yeah.
to,
Yeah.
just play a little bit better than their teammate that day? And those are things that we're building and it takes time. Like we inherited a group that was like different than our personalities were, and then we were able to kind of in 1 year flip things around and win a regular season championship. And we get tripped up in the semis against a really scrappy Navy team, and like we're one game away from the big dance. And like that's just going to be our goal, though. Like those goals will never change. We're going to want to win a regular season championship, win a Patriot League championship, and win 20 games. Like that's not going to change. So it's cool to see that like when you're able to put together groups of people that are not really necessarily the same type of player or have the same competitive juices. But when they all mesh together, like we were able to do back in college, is like it's just cool to see, and that's what the rewarding part of being on this side of the lines is now. So yeah.
I think I know what the answer is to my next question that I'm thinking of. But when you're looking at players, right, and you're kind of going over your weekly routines, your daily routines with guys, how much weight are you giving to the analytical side, like the physical, as in like the metrics that they're producing, I don't know. I'm not good with basketball, I'm not gonna lie, but like how much they're lifting in the weight room, like how many, what's their 3 point percentage look like stuff like that, as opposed to kind of the mental or competitive side of their game, where it's kind of going over, like you said, competing in every drill and practice, like challenging guys to do mental work on their own so they're prepared for the game. Like, how much weight do you kind of give to both? Because obviously we live in a world, obviously from my experience of baseball, it gets very, very analytical very quick. It's all about
Hmm.
exit velo, velocity off the mound, how fast are you, how well can you do X, Y, and Z. But there are these other mental factors that might get left in the dust sometimes. But how much weight are you giving as a coach to both of those things?
Yeah, we're definitely data driven in a lot of things. That's just for our own, like helping us sleep at night sometimes. Is like,
Of course.
right when you lose a game and you feel like you should have won, but then you check the stats and like the stats say like, okay, you didn't have your stuff tonight. Like that's it's just what it is. But what I love about our guys is like they're in the gym working and we're working
Yes.
with them. So as long as you're putting in the work and getting shots up, going through your routine, lifting with our strength coach who's fantastic. Our assistants are like so high level, like they all could be head coaches right now. And they are able to like bring anyone into the gym and just work on stuff that will help us win. Like, yeah, if we weren't doing any of that and we were shooting a poor 3-point percentage or turning the ball over a ton, I'd be like, well, yeah, like we're gonna lose. But
Yeah.
the fact that we do put in the work and sometimes the results don't always lead to a win, I know that our guys are mentally preparing themselves to be as successful as they possibly can when they step on the floor. And that's all you can really ask for. And I know these guys are in a tough time right now where like these are the COVID kids that like went through
Yes.
weird high school and growing up processes of how they got recruited, and like I feel for them. Like there's just stuff that is different about how they interact with each other and how they communicate, and that's on us to learn and grow as coaches. But yeah, from like a mental standpoint, as long as we know going into a game we scouted the best we could, we prepared our players as best as possible. Like that's the funny thing about coaching is like all you can do is hope to prepare your guys as
Yes.
best as
Hmm.
possible. And then when the clock hits zero and the ball is about to be thrown up, I just go sit on the bench. I just sit on this nice comfy chair and like, yeah, we're coaching them and we're like hoping that they are doing what we tell them to do and executing our game plan. But like, it's a weird feeling because you just sit there and it's like, all right, like the hay's in the barn and we're just gonna figure out if we can get it done tonight. It's a really
Yeah.
weird feeling, but it's a cool one because like when you have big victories and when you win games that are gritty and tough and like you fight out an extra possession or dive on the floor, it's like okay, we worked on that, we talked about that, so like when it happens as a coach you're like all right, like that's cool, like that's rewarding. But there are times where I'm sitting there and I'm like, yeah, I got nothing tonight. Like I got no shoes on. I'm not wearing a jersey. Like I'm just sitting here making sure we don't call a timeout when we don't have one.
Yeah.
Who has four fouls? Who's about to foul out? And like give coach the whiteboard during a timeout. So yeah, but no, that's a good question.
That's awesome. So, talk to us a little bit about, obviously you played high level Division III basketball, right? And you get to go to St. Joe's and now you're at Bucknell, right? What are some of the physical and the mental differences and similarities of some of the players that you recruit and kind of coach or played with and played against in college? What are kind of the differences and similarities with that?
Yeah, I think the first thing that jumps off the page is just overall quickness, strength, and just physical ability. There's a gap at some point. Now that doesn't mean that I played with and against a bunch of kids in Division III basketball that could 100% play Division I basketball, and in this era especially of the transfer portal, they probably would. Like they
Yeah.
would have been
Right.
picked off by a Division I school. But yeah, off the bat, it's overall quickness, strength, and physical ability, and then from there, it's just like you dig a little deeper, and it's like how quickly do they retain information?
Yeah.
How quickly can they be told to do something and then do it uh, right after it's been told to them? And then I just this one's kind of funny. Like it's just if you I always felt like I had like this Division I mindset of like how to play the game, but like straight up D3 physical ability. So it's cool to like be around guys that have that physical ability to compete in a Division I basketball game, and I can like tell them like, hey, this is what I see or this is what I'm thinking, and they can actually go do it. Like I just always thought about it and like was like, oh, that'd be cool if I could, go between the legs and then dunk off 2 feet. And we got guys that can do that. And like, dude, we played in some cool environments. Like I've played, we went to Duke in Cameron Indoor. We went to Rupp Arena. We've been out to Gonzaga in Spokane. We've been in Syracuse in the Carrier Dome. Like just as like a basketball guy and a junkie, like I know we're in arenas trying to win and compete, but like I kind of stop for a second at times and I'm like, because I'm at this level now, like this is a little different than Willie P's gym. And going to like Rutgers, Camden and Rutgers, Newark.
Just
like,
a little different.
A little different, but it's like this is like people pay a lot of money to see these teams play, and like there are nights when we're the opponent and like we're in there trying to battle and knock a team off, and like those guys that we have are like they're just different. Like they're just they're really fast and they're really strong, and the shot making is just unbelievable. That's probably the biggest thing is like these guys take shots where you're like that ain't going in, and then they're going back and threes and all that.
That's awesome. So kind of walk us through, right? Like you gave us your journey up into this point, playing to coaching and everything. Kind of give us that behind the scenes look, right? Like you get the call, you're heading to St. Joe's, and even you're going to Bucknell. What were some of your not only emotions but just kind of like what were you thinking like mentally, right? Like I know a lot of guys that play Division III or play Division II. Once they kind of go and get that first Division I job, they're like, oh man, like can I teach these guys? Or they have some sort of hang-ups. Did you have any type of mental hang-up or worries kind of going into that first job?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me that I realized quickly was these coaches at the Division I level are very well connected. They know a lot of people. They have strong networks, and I was just a D3 guy that like knew a couple people.
Yeah,
and it got me to where I was. But I realized I had some work to do in terms of like who to talk to about what, who can I rely on as someone to like seek advice from, and the last thing is like proving that you do belong, like just as if you were a player. Like why is this kid who played at TCNJ telling a scholarship player at St. Joe's like hold your follow through? Like what does that mean? And a lot of that what I relied on was like playing in practice or
yes,
trying to grab a kid like let's get some shots up because like I was a pretty good shooter, so like maybe I can try and show you a couple things that I used to work on. And that just like takes time. Is like a couple of practices where I'm on the scout team and like start drilling some threes in some kids' face, and they're like, "Oh, like okay, like you did play a little bit." Like, no, I didn't play at Duke or UNC, but like, I was okay back in the day. I could do a couple things, and like it kind of is like you have like those moments where you earn your stripes a little bit, and then like in the office, it's just like be a yes man and just whatever coach says do something, you do it. You don't ask why, you don't ask where. Like that took time to like put on like my managerial hat, because that's the one thing a lot of people don't realize is like a lot of these guys who become GAs, and myself included, were former players. We're not used to rolling the laundry over. We're not used to driving to get the food for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Taking guys to the doctors. Like there was always someone that did that for us. So that is an actual hurdle that like at times when you're doing something and you're like, what am I doing right now? Like, why am I doing this? And there's so many other things I could be doing that like might seem more fulfilling, but that's just all a part of like earning your stripes. You start as the lowest man on the totem pole, and you just have to kind of do whatever it takes to get out, and then you hope that it's all worth it, which again it's a long-term investment. So
that's a really good point that you made at the end there. It brought me back to a story. I don't know if you remember Mike Rucci was assistant coach at Rowan when we were there. So we coached with Ruch in travel ball, and we had a tournament one weekend, and I think it was my team playing against his team, like whatever. It was just like a friendly game, and the owner of the facility comes out and he's like rolling the lines, and he goes up to Ruch and he's like, Ruch, why aren't you rolling the lines? And he just goes, starters don't roll the lines, buddy. Like this is like a complete joke, but like he's such a goofball. But I just thought the same thing, where it's like there kind of is that hurdle where you do go from player to coach, and it's like now not that you're lowest man on the totem pole, but like it's a completely different world where you might have felt on top of the world as an athlete. Now you're a GA, you're a first year coach, and it's like I'm doing all these things I never did before. Like Matt and I coaching at Camden County, it was the same thing where it's like we're running out and getting coffee for everyone. Like stuff like that. Just like little things like we're taking notes and it's like, okay, like I'm doing this. You might not have full reign over everything where when you were an athlete, it's like I have full control over what I'm doing in that moment. Now it's like I'm trying to help guys, but I might not necessarily have the power that I just kind of came from, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. That is something that I think I try and tell aspiring GAs is like be ready to do some of the dirty work because it's not for everybody, but those people like make the program. I'm biased now because I was one, and we don't
Right.
have it at Bucknell. I would do anything for one singular grad assistant because just having that extra pair of hands where like if you do need something done that like as a coach now where I'm like maybe I don't necessarily want to do that, but like I do it anyways because we have a smaller staff. But like
Of
those are the
course.
times as a GA where you get the call at like 11, like hey, some kid's about to go to the hospital, you got to go like sit with them.
Yeah.
Like you do it because what are you going to say? No, like
Of course.
that's not going to sit well with the head coach the next day. So you kind of just try and like really become like invisible almost. Like you don't want to be known like about you're the guy that like doesn't do some stuff or
Of course.
right. Like you just kind of want to be like a steady presence for every coach. And I was fortunate to kind of like lean on Coach Griffin a lot and like pour into him a little bit and like figure out what. And then that's he returned the favor. And after my 2 years were done, it was cool to like see what it was like to be an associate head coach, but then also like, what do you want like Pike Place or an Americano? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
Starbucks coffee will be there, but I just just give me a job when this is over.
Of course. Now we've kind of shifted over from your playing side into now your coaching side. So now on your end that you've had some years of experience that you're starting to get a little tenure here, which is great. Can you walk us through how you personally like mentally prepare each day? And then what specifically, if you could take like one or two things, have you learned over the last couple years that helped you improve as a coach and like member of the team mentally?
Yeah. So the jump from grad assistant to director of basketball operations was awesome because I was able to like kind of do a little bit of everything at St. Joe's and learn from a lot of people. So I felt prepared to do my the full operations like day to day checklist. Like I kind of had a little idea of what it would look like, but until like you're really in it, you actually have no idea what you're getting into. And if that means like, so right now, like in the summertime, I'm already calling hotels and booking rooms for the fall. Um, I'm making sure our class schedules are all prepared. When are we going to be able to practice? Where is everyone living on campus next year? So those type of things that just help us stay organized as a program. And then like individually, how can I just get like a little better each day? I know that's so cliche, but I'm trying to like read a little more,
Yeah. Yeah.
listen to some podcasts, and like do stuff like this. I mentioned before, but like our coach is always talking about building a brand that would allow you to be a head coach, and stuff like this is awesome, which is why I'm so appreciative to be on here. But he's fantastic at that, and our staff is fantastic at that. So really, just being around the group every day, learning from the assistants. These guys have been all over at all different places, different levels, and they just have so many experiences that I can like hopefully just use in my day to day. But I think like, and then the one or two things like I take away from that is like, and I learned this back at St. Joe's was like, the head coach always talked about like these shared experiences. That really prepares you for anything you might come across. So like I've dealt with a bus being late. I've dealt with a kid being late to practice, missing class, going on a road trip and forgetting something, uniform, shoes, whatever. It's like when you go through enough shared experiences with a bunch of people, like there, it may arise and you're going to have to feel like, oh my, do. But because you've done it a ton of times, like there's always an answer. And that's just like, figure it out. Like, whatever it is, you figure it out. This is kind of a thankless job at times. And like, I'm okay with saying that because I think a lot of people in my position would agree.
Yeah,
But,
big time.
but when things are going well, you don't want to hear from anybody. And that's fine. But when the bus is late, Wallace, where's the bus?
Yep.
Why? What do you like? What are we doing? We're gonna be late, and that's cool. Like I can live with that because like I know that hopefully if I become a head coach one day, like I'll probably be the same way, and I'm gonna be like, why is the bus late? Because like, but I try and hold myself to a high standard, so I want things to be at a level that is clean, easy. We operate like a high functioning business, really,
Yeah.
and when things are not, I'm not being told anything, like I wonder to myself, like, am I doing a good job? I don't know, but more times than not, it's probably a good thing, and I try and just stay out of people's way, and sometimes I'm a little too nonchalant, I guess. People may think I'm not like, loving what I'm doing or like super all into it that day, but that's just kind of my day to day like attitude. I'm just very go with the flow guy, and like
Yeah.
I can get hot quick, like, and I gotta work on that too, like, controlling those emotions when things do go wrong, because like I think it's more so like I just want to fix it immediately, like I just want
I'm the same way.
solution, right? So
Yeah.
if I'm like, well, like I may seem like I'm super frustrated, and a lot of times I am, and like because then the people are like, whoa, like that's not how you usually act. So like, is there something wrong? But really, it's just like, no, like I'm annoyed that I maybe missed something, or I didn't. How could I have not thought of that? Like that's really all it boils down to. And like, so yeah, I'm more. It's always like I'm just like mad at myself. I'm not like I'm never really
Yeah,
thinking
of
at
course.
others, but like I'm always like, damn, like how did you not think of that? Or like that's
Yeah.
a great idea. Like I should have done that. Like but yeah, that's the part of like the day to day that like I try and I'm just getting better at. And then over time, you just build confidence, and like, going into year three, it's like I feel pretty good about where we are as a program, and like, it just takes time to do stuff, and confidence it adds in over time.
And you mentioned that at points, we were both first year assistant coaches as well, and there are times where it does feel like a thankless position. And of course, there are very, very high highs, and sometimes there are very low lows. Again, like whether that's financially, whether that's anything, right? Like anything that you might face. So I guess with you on your journey now that you're kind of going in this route where potentially maybe you wanted to be a head coach or you want to continue coaching, like what processes have you put in place in order for you every day to kind of look back and be like, okay, this is something I want to continue to pursue? Like, are there things that you've said to yourself? Are there things that you have written down? Are there things that you kind of like, I don't know, mentally preach or practice to yourself every day that kind of keep you grounded so like this is the main objective. So when things get low, it's like I'm still cool, calm, and collected.
Yeah, there's like already been moments in the last couple of years where I've had serious conversations with myself about like, what are you doing and
Yeah,
why are you doing this? I'm fortunate to have like a really amazing support system. My parents have been, so really have gone above and beyond when it comes to just supporting me, and really saying like, hey, if this is something you want to do, we'll be right there with you. Um, and friends that are supportive, and like really the we said this before, because my friends are so successful and have like great jobs. It's like sometimes you do sit there and you look like that looks kind of nice. Like I would like to do that, but
yeah,
and then those times when we go play at Duke and they're the ones calling me for tickets because they want to be a part of it, right?
of
Like
course.
those are the moments that I'm like, all right, this is pretty cool. I have a front row seat to watch the highest level of Division One basketball. Um, but yeah, it's like it's sort of it's not really like an internal goal of mine, but like I guess this business is like all about just outlasting everyone that's around you. So the more that I can just keep really every year like advancing, survive and advance. We'll keep it cliche with that,
Yeah,
right? Like just hang around and make it to the next step. Become an assistant coach. Okay, be an assistant coach somewhere, whether it's here or another location, and then just keep going, and like I think over time, like I'll find out pretty quickly. I think like if this is something that I really, really am all in on. Um, But for now, I have to keep betting on myself, and
Of course.
I've done that for my whole career. So why stop now? And I mentioned it before, I'm young enough to kind of go through this a little bit and then find out what it's all about. But yeah, you just have to you literally have to just outlast everyone that's around you.
Yeah.
We're in such a crazy time of college athletics where it might be easier to outlast people because some people aren't going to want to put up with this stuff that's going
Of
on
course.
in college athletics. But yeah, I've wrote some stuff down, try to have a 5-year plan or whatever. I could get shrunk into a 2-3 year plan, but yeah, I've wrote down on paper I want to be a head coach at some point. I think that would be the most rewarding thing, to run a program and just you're your boss. You do things the way you want to do it. You recruit who you want to recruit, and you try and be super successful. I would think that's why a lot of people stay in the business. I know there are lifetime assistant coaches or lifetime ops people that are really good at what they do, and that's just the goal. And I've thought about that. Maybe that's what I am. Maybe I am just going to be that glue guy to a program, or just be someone that can always be relied on. But it's come on, if you're going to go all in on this, why would you not want to be a head coach? You could come out of a timeout and be like, yo guys, we're going to kick the ball into the stands, and then we're going to run back on defense. And you can do it. And then as long as you have a reason why you did it, no one's going to question you. But that's why being a head coach is the coolest thing to me, because you can try new stuff. You can do anything that you think will work. And if it does, you look like a genius.
Yep.
If it doesn't, you get fired. And that's that's okay. That's the part of the business. But I just think that's probably the coolest thing about this. And as I'm going along, there are going to be times where I'm probably going to have multiple conversations with myself about, hey, is this really what you want to do? Is it time to pivot? But we'll face those when they come. But for right now, I feel good about where I'm at.
Awesome.
That's awesome. So, how do you then go about helping some your players, right? You kind of have this mental framework for yourself and everything like that. Is there ever a time, or has there been a time where a player's kind of come to you and it's just hey, I'm kind of in the dumps, or I'm in this rut, and kind of how have you given them game to kind of help them out of that?
Yeah, I've been fortunate because I'm on the younger side, and I only graduated 5 years ago. I try and utilize that youthful connection with these guys, not abuse it, because I still want them to view me as someone of authority. Which at times that's something I'm working on on the day-to-day, really.
Yep.
Being the bridge between player coach, but also when it gets time to practice, or when I say something, I want it to be impactful. I don't want it to be it's just Wally saying something to the group, which is fine. And that's something I'm sure all young coaches deal with, and I'm definitely trying to work through. But yeah, I try and utilize my playing career, which was not too long ago, and just give little tidbits to people here and there. And it's probably not at times when people would most expect it. But if I can grab a kid that's, if we're walking somewhere on campus, or I just see him in passing around the facility, I'm going to try and say something that might make them think that okay, Wally could be someone that I could go to, or talk through some times about. But yeah, I try and be that gap in between. We all have been around this. When you're a player, when things happen, you don't want to go run and tell the head coach of
course,
all the bad things that just happened. So I feel I do I try and I'll have those conversations. I'll take in what's occurred. If I can fix it myself, I will. If it has to go up the ladder, I'll do that. But I think it's important to for the guys to know that I do value their success, and I value how they're going to go about their careers. So yeah, I want them to talk to me about how they can maybe work on some stuff, and that's just going to take time to have them really buy into all that for me. So yeah,
of course. No, big time. Now, we are implementing this new thing that we're going to wrap up every episode with when we have a guest. So you have the fortune of being able to be the first guest that we're going to do this with. So
right.
We're gonna rip this, but this is a new segment that we're gonna implement. It's called 10 questions in 10 seconds or less. So we're gonna list out 10 questions that we have. It's gonna be real quick. You just kind of answer the first thing that comes to your head. Just 10 seconds or less, you kind of shoot it out there. All right. So whenever you're ready, we're ready to go.
All right, let's do it.
All right. First question. What part of your identity did sports help you discover?
Probably that I hate losing more than I love winning, and then that applies to anything in life.
Love it. When you think back to your lowest moment in sports, what mental skill do you wish you had then that you have now?
Well, probably just positive self-talk, like,
Okay.
right, like just being able to like create a narrative in your head that everything will be okay. It's not the end of the world, and that you can overcome pretty much anything if you just have some mental whereabouts. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I completely agree with that. I wish I also had that because at times I get pretty down on myself as well. So, no, the positive self-talk, that's
Yeah.
big time. But if you had 10 seconds to talk to your younger self before the biggest moment of your career, what would you say besides just shove against Rowan again?
Probably like you're you really are good at what you do,
Yeah,
whether it may not feel like it in the moment or um, just having the confidence and that inner desire and passion and ability to convince yourself that you can do just about anything.
awesome. Now, what's one mental habit that changed the game for you that you wish more athletes or coaches knew about?
Probably like I use superstition a ton, but it actually just created a routine for me. So
Yeah,
it's really just, I know people don't like to rely on superstition, but it was all about just building a routine and sticking to it. I think everyone should have a routine in some capacity. It just makes waking up and going about your day to day way easier than just showing up to the office like and trying to figure out what is about to happen today. So, and it applies to anything and anyone. So, yeah.
so next one, you kind of answered this a little bit, but just you can shoot it right back at us. Looking back, what moment felt like the end, but ended up being a complete new beginning for you?
Mm.
Yeah, it was a conversation in my kitchen with my parents, and then a conversation with my pops out in right field, and like,
Yeah,
yeah, those were two pivotal moments in my athletic career, and if I didn't have those conversations or get over those little mini blips in the radar, then I definitely would not be sitting here having this conversation with you guys. So.
awesome. What's one failure that still stings, and what did it teach you?
I'm going back to 12-year-old like Little League. Losing that game in as when I was 12 was like
Yeah,
it's definitely the worst loss of my career still to this day. And
yeah,
you're so young that you don't like even realize it at the time. You're just upset and you're just like crying because you're like I'm 12 and I
of
lost. But
course.
now looking back, I'm like we had such a fantastic team and we had so much going for us that like we didn't reach what was supposed to be our big milestone achievement. But along the way, it's like we accomplished so much. Like we
Yeah,
won a ton of games. We didn't lose much. And like that is something that you can look back on is like, okay, there are still banners hanging somewhere in Newtown, Pennsylvania that
yeah,
have our names littered all over it. And like that's something now that you can look back on and like I still every time if I go back to campus at TCNJ, like I know there's gonna be banners hanging in a gym and on the baseball field that like I was a part of that, and that's like the coolest thing ever. So,
now, when everything around you is chaotic, what's the one thing that brings you back to center?
this is cliche, but just be where your feet are. Like you gotta just whatever's in front of you. That's the only thing that matters in the moment. And I know that's again, it's super cliche, but you just have to try and not worry about the past and what has happened and don't get too caught up in what may happen. It's just like you got to be right here and that's something I try and just
Yeah. Now, what does success feel like to you now, and how has that changed since you started?
yeah, success now is like seeing our guys like sign professional contracts and like
Yeah,
going on to do great things in life. Before it was like all wins and losses, and like that still internally is what I'm striving for. Is like,
of course.
and I want everyone to like have that same passion to win. But it is cool to see like, or even like something as little as like a kid that is like struggling in and then they have like a breakout game. Like that's just awesome. Like because we all can go back to those times as when we were players and you maybe a coach said something or you just thought about something a little differently and when you see it happen it's like these are still like they're kids, like they do stupid stuff sometimes, but like when they finally go on and like become adults and like do things that are really like impactful to, I know their families are proud of them. Like that's cool to see as a coach. So
Definitely. What belief about yourself did you have to unlearn in order to grow as an athlete and a person?
I mean, a lot of things. Like I just at times I was like I wasn't really good enough to like to probably play college athletics. So I was like, okay, like I have to do something a little differently, and like that was go a Division III route, and I think it was probably the best decision I ever made because I was still going to be at a place where I could use a degree to do anything else outside of sports, but like just realizing that okay, I'm here now, and like I do belong here, and like I not like that I was ever overlooked because I wasn't, or else I would have I'd be playing in the league right now, um, but no, seriously, just like yeah, just like if feeling like you maybe don't belong, but like you're still kind of just sticking with it, and realizing like once you're there, then like okay, this is something that you can.
Definitely. And then last question, what do you hope people say about you 10 years from now, not as an athlete or coach, but just as a person in general?
Yeah, some people would probably say a lot of things about me. I don't know, but uh, just
All
that,
good things.
just that I just was very dedicated to what I do, and I was like a funny guy to be around. Kept the vibes positive. Wasn't really ever like an issue or created concern amongst people I was around, and that I just was super dedicated to my craft, and like uh, and I still hope it has something to do with being a winner. Like that's just something I've always prided myself on, is like no matter what may happen in my career, like I try to hopefully bring some sort of winning edge and culture to wherever I'm at, and usually if that happens, it benefits everyone that you're around. So that would lead to good things being said about me. So yeah, that's that.
Definitely. Well, Michael, we appreciate you coming on, man. Seriously, thank you for sharing your journey with us. And honestly, it's been really cool to follow you along just as a former teammate and a friend. It's really cool to see your growth and just how you've kind of come along and become what you've become so far. And just hearing you talk mentally about everything that you've accomplished and everything that you're going to continue to accomplish. It's really cool to see, and we really appreciate you coming on here and sharing that with everyone, man.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, guys. This was awesome. It's crazy. We just talked for like an hour 15 or 10 seconds, but no, the mental part of the game is so important now because these kids are crazy athletic. They're so skilled. It's really amazing to see what some of these kids can do in baseball and basketball. So like dominating that mental side of the game is just it'll give such an edge to all these kids that are coming up now, and guys are doing a great job of spreading the good word about the mental side of sports. So appreciate that.
Thank you, brother. No, we
Thanks, bro.
appreciate you, and thank you again for coming on. And hopefully, we'll have you back on again after your season, and we'll recap some conference championship, maybe some March Madness ball. So
Yeah.
definitely looking forward to that, man.
Yep, that's the goal. That's the goal.
Awesome. All right, man. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yep.